Alright. So, anyway, you all want switches. You want me to do VLANs. You want to understand how VLANs work, right? So, I'm going to do some VLANs for you. So, this doesn't do VLANs. This is VLAN aware, but it doesn't do VLANs. So, yeah. So anyway, I have pretty much given up on my apartment, trying to keep it nice, so I'm just going to let it go to shit, but whatever. Fuck it. Alright, so right here we have got a MikroTik RB 2011. Full screen on it, of course. And a Netonix switch. Here. So you've got, I'm going to show you guys how to configure VLANs on this thing, and it will be good. It will be cool. So the way I've got it hooked up right now is I've got a DAC going from port 14 on the Netonix to the only SFP on this 2011, and then I've got the 2011 connected to the network in my home, and then this is connected back to my computer here. Yes, it's dusty. Because I've given up on caring. So, yeah, let me show you how to do VLANs here, okay? So there's your physical concept right there. And we're going to do some port-based VLANs, we're going to do a VLAN group. And the idea here is I'm going to do this on not only Netonix, but I'm going to do it on a, let's see here, CRS 326, and on a Ubiquity switch, which these little test switches are kind of crappy. They have real bad faults with them, especially with the new software, but it's still running the Ubiquity firmware. So, I mean, the interface is pretty much the same as all the other Ubiquity switches. So the reason why I'm picking these three switches in particularly is because these are the common ones that everybody uses. So I just want to kind of use common text so you guys you have something relatable that you know how to program, right? Now I'm going to be doing some videos on how to program Cisco's and other ones too, but in the meantime, let's just focus on the ones that we want to get working, or the ones that you guys work with. So first of all, let's go into here. To quote MSI, it only gets worse, it never gets better. So we're going to change the SFP on here because, as you can see, it's not running yet, right? So we got copper pigtail. Yeah, okay. Anyway, so let's go over here. So first of all, you're noticing probably that this is not connected. So I'm checking to see if they're solid. They are. Chances are it's a negotiations issue. So let's turn off auto negotiate and set it for 1 gig, and that will probably do it. There we go. So it looks like it's up. It's showing us 1 gig over here. Alright, so it says it's up, but we're seeing no traffic here, so we probably need to set this one as well for 1 gig. Sometimes they don't auto-negotiate. Get used to that. And sometimes you just have to manually set the interface, and then it works. That's something that you should know, but they don't really tell you that in school, even. Here, plug this in. Oh, it's not working. Prof, can you come over here? Why is it not working? Let me fiddle with it. Well, what did you do, Prof? Oh, it wasn't, you couldn't auto-negotiate. You have to manually set it. Teach it in the fucking course. Anyway, so I've gone in here, I've set the Netonix for 1 gig. I've set the SFP on the MikroTik for 1 gig. So now if I go to IP neighbors on here, I should be able to see the two devices. So let's see here. There we go. So you can see that the Netonix is showing up. Please ground me. That's not very tongue-in-cheek. Oh, is it? Alright, so now that we've set that up, I'm going to show you guys how to do some VLANing. Okay, so we've got the ports here, so let's just arbitrarily name these things. So we're going to call it, this one is Site B, another site. By the way, let me show you how to remove a kitty from a video. When your kitties walk into your YouTube videos, you don't pick them up and hurl them. You carefully pick them up, kiss them, and then you place them on the floor. And then when they come back 5 minutes later, you do it again. You don't throw your cat over your shoulder. Just try to remember that, please. Especially if you love your kitties. Alright, so here we go. We're going to do the point-to-points as 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the reason for that is if you look at PoE here, the first ports in your Netonix are typically the ones that do the high voltage, okay? Or, in this case, 4 pair, okay? So see there. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 do 4 pair. Port 1 on this Netonix, the WS12250AC, has, see here, it does 24 volts standard, 48 volts standard, and then 4 pair, 4 pair. Same thing with port 2. And then port 3, it does 48 volts, 4 pair, but it doesn't do 24 volts 2 pair. Oh, or it might just be higher current. But in my previous experiments, I'm sure you guys know that these ports, even though it says that the rated output current is limited, it's not limited. These things will push 4 amps before they pop. So anyway, now that that's out of the way, let's make another site. We're going to call this one Tito's. Tito's Taco Truck, because I got it right. And Goat Farm. Okay, and we'll just add another one. Raccoon Resort. All right, there we go. And now let's go down here. We'll set up some access points, right? Because we'll just assume that we've got some standard access points here. So why not throw them in? Okay, so this is going to be AP, northeast, south, west. Okay, AP, south. There we go. North, east, southwest. Okay, so the next one will be east, AP, east, and AP north. There we go. So let's save that. We're just going to save our names. All right, so ports 1 through 5 are point-to-point. Ports 9 through 12 are a VLAN, or sorry, a bridge for your access points. So now if you take a look over here, I'm going to isolate. So I'm going to isolate the downstream heading ports, okay, the access points, okay, because we don't want them intercommunicating, which, like I explained in my last mile isolation video, okay, so this is where we're doing this right here, and this is how we clean up the VLANs, by the way. So now let me just create some VLANs right here. So on the MikroTik, and I'll be doing this on a Ubiquity edge router at some point as well, but I don't condone the use of them. If you're going to use another router other than a MikroTik for your WISP, by the love of God, please use like Juniper or Cisco. All right, so let's see here. So I'm going to go VLAN, and by the way, Ubiquity does make some good stuff. It's just I'm not a fan of their routers, unless you can wipe it and put something usable on it. All right, so here, let's create our bridge VLAN first. So I'm just arbitrarily going to make this VLAN 4000. Why? My reasoning is because, well, it's a VLAN that you're very not likely to use, at least in my planning structure, okay? So anyway, so I'm going to create 4000. What I typically like to do is make it 4001 for tower 1, 4002 for tower 2, 4003 for tower 3, 4004 for tower 4, 4005 for tower 5. Well, I did this one. I might as well do this one too. So there you go. All right, so this is last mile, like so, and we're just gonna add our VLAN here. What I'm doing right here is I'm tagging. So when you go new interface on the MikroTik, you're actually creating the tag, which becomes the interface. So I'm naming it VLAN 4000 LM. You can name this whatever you want. You can call it Night Stripper if you wanted to, right? And then we just go L last mile 4000, like so. You can name it whatever the hell you want. What really matters is down here in the bottom, okay? We've got VLAN ID 4000 and the interface that it's going to be tagged on. So this is how you tag with MikroTik. You create a new interface and it's tagged on that interface like so. So when I hit apply here, the Night Stripper is now tagged on SFP1. Switch 0. All right, so now you can do this in whatever order you want, by the way. I'm just going to create my VLAN 4000 here, like so, okay? So we're going to go 4000, and then we're going to just call it last mile bridge, like so. And I'm just going to take my ports here, and I'm going to move them over. Oh, it's so much better not doing this on Zoom, because on Zoom it's just like totally laggy. All right, so there we go. And now we need to tag this on an interface. And because we know up here by looking in the window that port 14 is our trunk, it's the trunk because it connects back to the router. It's the upstream interface, okay? So we're going to tag it because it's a trunk on that interface. So now this bridge that we just created here in the Netonix, bridge 4000 has 4 ports untagged in it, the access points ports. And by the way, you can also hover over the ports on here to determine what the name of them is. As you can see, right? See? And also look, every time I add something to this new bridge here, see how it highlights them in a nice little white thing? All right, cool. I like white things. All right. Or stuff. Insert semen joke. All right, so we've got that one. Now, in my typical manner, I like to add the last mile management. So we're going to go LM management, like so, in a lazy fashion. And I'm just going to tag that all on here again. So now what I'm doing is because we're tagging the last mile VLAN on here, like the management VLAN, if you enable management VLAN on your access points on your devices, or you do what you did in MikroTik, we're using a Ubiquity last mile as your example here. And I think my MOSA also works the same way, where you just enable management VLAN, enter the management VLAN, and it works. So to make that work, that VLAN tag needs to be present on the broadcast domain that you're going to be using it from. So we're tagging it on all the access point ports here, and we're tagging it on the trunk port as well. And you'll notice that the open bridge, the one that's the open traffic, anything without a VLAN is on 4000 here. That's why it's all untagged, use, right? And then tagged for the management, right? So that's how that works. Now, they're also both tagged on the trunk port, which takes us back to the router. So I'm going to save and apply that and go back over to the router now and create my VLAN for PL1001. Okay, so management there. Okay, so now we've got our management. There is our management VLAN present, okay? So now we've got our management and we've got our Night Stripper. I mean, last mile bridge. Okay, so now those are your last mile. So why did I do it like that instead of doing a port-based VLAN for every single fucking port on the router or the switch? For cleanliness and simplicity. Because the more VLANs you have, the more likelihood that your cheap carrier equipment's going to leak VLAN across another VLAN, and then you're going to end up with problems like loops or whatever. And you know what? You want to keep your network as simple as possible whilst not affecting any of the functionality that you require. Keep it simple, stupid. KISS. All right? They're not just a band or it's something that you physically do with somebody or something you like. All right, so we've got this in place now. Now we're going to do the point-to-point VLAN specifically for the backhauls, essentially. I didn't like the fact that that port just recycled there there, but you know what? This is for demonstration purposes anyway, so if this switch glitches right out, fine. This is a piece of lab equipment. That's the only reason why I've got it here, and it was actually donated very kindly by one of my awesome Patreons. Thanks, Werner. And so now let's go here, and we're going to create our ports. So I can cheat again here, by the way, because I could just hover over a port and it will show me what it is. Okay, so I'm going to create the VLAN. So we know that port VLAN 101 is going to be site B. Now, why did I call it 101? Again, this is just my methodology. This is my theme, my schema. Okay, this is switch number 1, port 01, 101. Keep it 3 digits because realistically at your tower sites, you're probably not going to be running a switch that has more than 100 ports on it, so you can keep it to 3 digits, right? Switch 1, port 1. If it's on a second switch at that tower site, it could be switch 2, port 1. So 201, 301, 401, and so on and so forth, right? Do you get that? Cool. All right, so now we've got port 1. So now the way that we're going to set this port up is we're going to remove it from this switch group, or this bridge group here, and I'm going to untag it here, and now I'm going to tag it here. And we're going to remove the kitty cat again. Down, baby. There we go. Just pick, rotate, place on floor. Very easy. Not a difficult thing to do. And stay off my desk while I'm recording, you monster. I have cats, because I don't have anything else. Alright, there we go. Alright, so we're untagging on port 1, and we're tagging it on port 14, because that's a trunk port in this case, okay? Now, today's tutorial is simply for VLANs on a Netonix switch. We're not going to discuss load balancing across multiple ports yet, because I've already explained that in my last mile video, I believe. Or another one, yeah. Anyway, so there's the first one. Now we can create 102 for VLAN 2. So you're going to start to see the pattern here, right? Okay, so what's port 2 called? Port 2 is called another site. You know what I just realized, though? I am plugged into that port, so I'm just going to not touch it, okay? We'll just create it, but you'll get the idea here, all right? So now I can create... There we go. VLAN number 3, 103. In hindsight, that was really dumb. I shouldn't have actually... I could still plug into one of the later ports. Let me plug into port 8. It worked. Oh, there it is. Okay, so yeah, here, I'll just do it now. Yay, ADHD. 2. See the pattern that I'm developing here? Now, why am I not tagging the management VLAN on the point-to-point links? Because you don't need to. Don't bother with that. You don't, because as explained with point-to-point links, it's usually a segmented portion of your network where it's router 1 equals 1, router 2 equals 2, AP3, station 4. So you have a little /26, or yeah, I'm not doing great today, /29 between your tower sites, which gives you 6 usable IPs. You know, it just keeps it nicely segmented so you can do your OSPF and make everything work properly. If you want to get into a bridged network design, I'm not going to go into that today. I will do that another day. So again, here we go. We are tagged. So what's port 3 called? Let's see here. Port 3 is called Tito's Taco Truck. I love Tito's Tacos. Okay. And 4 is going to be Goat Farm. I'm not doing anything. Why are you firing your fan up? Okay, so again, we're going to remove this from here, and we're going to untag there, and we're going to tag it here. See how easy this is? And then, what's the 5th port? I think there's a 5. Raccoon Resort. Okay, 105. Raccoons, there we go. So let's untag here, and we're going to, there we go, like so. Okay, so now that's all done here, but now you need to add these VLANs on the router. So let me show you how you do this again. All right, there we go. So now let's add our VLANs again. So you can do this 2 ways. The easiest way is just to click Add, choose VLAN. But I already showed you how to do that in the beginning. So let's just click on VLAN and add some more. I can just click plus. So we'll go VLAN 101, site B. Okay, 101, it's already tagged on interface SFP1 SW0 because it's alphabetical and that's the top interface in the list, right? Anyway, whatever. There's our next one. Let's add another one. VLAN 102. And what is port 2 again? Port 2 is another site. Now notice I'm labeling these. If you don't label them, your life will suck. And anybody who's working in your network will curse your name. Try to remember that, eh? Alright, VLAN 103. What's this one called? I think this is Tito's, isn't it? Yeah, it's Tito's. Tito's. Now notice I'm abbreviating, because I know Tito's is a taco truck, so I'll just call it Tito's, which is another thing about naming conventions I'm inadvertently teaching you right now. Okay, what's number 5? 5 is the... sorry, 4. 4 is Goat Farm. VLAN 104. Goats. Chotes and goats. Goats eating chotes. And 5 we already know is the raccoons. That's Raccoon Resort. VL 105. I love raccoons. They are so friggin' cute. Alright, so there we go. So now we've got our VLANs on here. So now all these VLANs here, if we go back over to interfaces, you'll see them stacked. These VLANs all terminate here, and they do their thing over here. So because they're all tagged on this interface, okay, they leave this interface. So anything that enters one of those VLANs will then exit the interface that it's tagged on with that VLAN tag in the packet header. And then it will come up to the switch, and the switch will look for the tag. And it says, here's your tag. That's what the T is for, because it's looking for tagged traffic, okay? And anything leaving the port is tagged with traffic associated with the bridge, okay? And in this case here, bridge 4000 or 101 or 1001 or 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, any of those little bridges there, okay? So when it leaves the switch, it's tagged. When it's coming into the switch, the tag is stripped. So as an example here for Night Stripper, LM4000, it is tagged on interface switch 0, SFP1, and as it enters the switch says, oh, you're tagged with 4000. Okay, cool. You're going to go to bridge 4000. I'm going to strip your tag, and then we're going to just untag you on ports 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. And if you wanted to, you could actually tag it on another port, and it'll carry that through that other interface. So it'll be tagged exiting the switch again on another interface if you wanted to, okay? Just like here for the last mile management, okay? So it's tagged here as 1001 management, so it's tagged on the SFP1 switch 0 interface, comes up to the switch here, and on the switch, it is saying, oh, you're on 1001, so we're going to strip that tag, okay? But oh, we're going to re-tag you on interfaces 12, 11, 10, 9. So we're adding a tag for 1001 again on 9, 10, 11, and 12, okay? Now, when we get to the point-to-point links, if you look here, site B is untagged on 101, which is port 1, Ethernet 1, but it's tagged on 14. Are you starting to get it here? Okay, on this guy here, Tito's. Tito's is tagged VLAN 103 on switch 0 SFP1, okay? So it's tagged on that interface. Now, inside of the switch here, the switch sees 103, and it says, oh, okay, because it's looking for that tag on 14 for the bridge here, okay, for bridge 103. And then it's going to strip the tag and allow the traffic to roam freely on the broadcast domain on port 103. It's really that simple. And as you can see here, because we have more than one port grouped together in bridge for port 4000 on the switch, we want port isolation on all the downstream ports that are in that bridge. We don't want the isolation on the trunk port because it won't work. It won't work because the ports are isolated. It doesn't allow the traffic to flow laterally, right? So if you've got 9, 10, 11, and 12 all isolated from each other, they can't laterally communicate with each other, but they can funnel down into the trunk port and forward in the network. So if you add a isolation here to port 14, they'll just stop working. It's literally that easy. So that is simply how you do port isolation and VLANs from a Netonix to a MikroTik. Now on the MikroTik here, you're probably wondering, what the hell do I do with these now? Well, let me go back to one of my models, because you can actually use one of my other videos to understand a little bit better. So I'm going to create my bridges here. Management. If I misspelled that, please make fun of me in the comments below. Okay, and loop back. Okay, so now these are our bridges here. I'm going to arbitrarily add an IP address to a bridge. Okay, so we're going to use 10.64.0.1/24. I'm going to put that on the management bridge. So that's our management IP. Okay, and I'm now going to add another one here, and we're going to do 100.64.0.1/24. Last mile, there we go. There we go, last mile customers. Okay, so there we go. So we've got our IPs here. So now, because the bridge itself on here, the last mile and management are the parent interfaces, we now need to put some children under them. Okay. We need some chitlin here. Alright, so 1001 is management. That's going to go under the management bridge. How did I add those? I clicked the plus under ports, and I chose the port that I want to be in there. So now those ports are now part of that bridge, and now we should actually see a little bit of broadcast traffic across that. So if we look here, yeah, we'll see like little pulses of transmit. See? That's just a little bit of broadcast traffic going over that interface. So as you can see, the R is next to them. That means that the interface is active. It's running. Let me show you this quickly. If you hover over it, R is for running. S is for slave. So because it's a slave or a child, because we need to be more politically correct in this world, otherwise cancel culture will happen. Because it's a child interface to the parent bridge, you can see its designation here is slave. Slave. It's a slave under the master interface, which is the bridge. Okay, so when an interface becomes a slave or a child interface, the parent interface is what you connect everything to. So it's like having a bucket and filling it with squirrels, okay? You don't need to address the squirrels anymore, you can address the bucket, or that doesn't work. Once the ports are in the bridge, you don't put the IPs on the ports anymore. You put the IPs right on the bridge, because all the ports are inside of the bridge, so they're in the same broadcast domain. So they see the parent interface, which is God, which they look up to God, and they can see the interface. They can see the IP addresses affiliated with it. If there's a DHCP server adhered to that bridge, then that broadcast traffic is going to across that bridge, and all the interfaces that are in it are going to allow that broadcast traffic to carry across them to whatever downstream stuff there is. And in this case here, when you look in the bridge, since you have Night Stripper, which is the customer broadcast domain of VLAN 4000, sorry. Yeah, anything that's inside of VLAN 4000 over here, which as you can see, that's ports 9, 10, 11, and 12. All those ports are now technically an extension of this router. They're now present inside of this bridge here. So the Netonix's ports 9, 10, 11, and 12 are now inside the last mile bridge here. And then as you can see here, the management interface being VLAN 1001 is tagged in here, and it's tagged on the trunk port, of course. So that means that anything that when you enable the management VLAN on a device and you put in 1001, it is now stripping that tag. So it's untagging traffic to a virtual interface, a bridge inside of that device, which then you manage the device from. So if you've got DHCP set up for management, then it'll pull an IP address from VLAN 1001 because the device itself is stripping the tag. It's untagging the traffic and retagging the traffic as it leaves the device and goes out onto the network. So that VLAN 1001 is now present in the broadcast domain that those access points are in because it's tagged on those interfaces. When it's tagged, it leaves the switch with that tag in its header. If it's untagged, there's nothing in the header. It's just dumb shit floating around from like one interface to another. It doesn't have any intelligence to it. The VLANs help you segregate that, segment it into specific little slots, I guess you could say, right? So I hope I explained that properly. If I didn't, please tell me how I can improve on that, because I am always trying to improve myself and my methods and my teachings and stuff like that. So that is essentially what you need to do. Now, the last step that I want to demonstrate is one point-to-point. So you've got all these interfaces here now, right? What do you do with them? Well, these are point-to-points. So we've got to add a point-to-point. So now these are all interfaces, as you can see. So I can pick one of them. So for example, let's pick Tito's. Okay, so Tito's here. So let's 10.4.200.1/29. Okay, so this is Tito's point to point, just like that. Okay, so now there is an IP address on that interface. Okay, so that interface now, Tito's VLAN 3, is an extension of the interface itself on the Netonix. So by creating this little bridge in the Netonix for VLAN 103 and untagging port 3 and tagging it on port 14, that's basically saying that when we strip the tag in the MikroTik, or tag it in the MikroTik, that is an extension of the Netonix. So what I've demonstrated here is that VLANs 4000, 101, 102, 103, 104, and 105 are all present in the MikroTik. So all those port-based VLANs, 101, 102, 103, 104, and 105, are basically ports that are now an extension of the MikroTik. So they're on the Netonix, but they're present in the MikroTik. So you've basically added external ports internally on the MikroTik that you can access. It's that simple. Now, something else which I should demonstrate here is that you lose a little bit of packet space on layer 2 for the VLAN, which is present in the header. It's in the packet header. And if you guys really want me to do something as fucking boring as explaining a TCP packet header or UDP packet, whatever. Anyway, I can do that. I'm just not focusing on it because it's not critical for you to understand the theory behind it. Okay? So if you look here, the parent interface is 1598, but then the VLAN is 1594. And that's because we lose 4 bits for the VLAN tag. Okay, which is why when you're running VLANs or MPLS or VPLS or anything else on your network, you need to make sure that you have enough overhead in your layer 2 to support them. Otherwise, if you start off with an interface that's 1500 and then you try to add the VLAN to it, then that VLAN is actually going to be limited to 1496. So you lose just a little bit of that. And if you don't allow for fragmentation, then you're going to have problems with DNS and sites not working properly and everything breaking. Okay, so that's why things work the way that they do. But anyway, that is my Netonix VLANs. Something else which I should actually show you as well is your bridge priority. So assuming that this switch is only going to be talking to this router here and there's going to be no further carry through to any other bridges, we should make sure that we set the spanning tree value to the lower value or lowest. I know that you can actually go 0000 in here. You're allowed to do that. I just feel warm and comfy doing 1. Okay, and we're going to do that on management as well. Under, just click on the bridge. So this is the bridge. I'll do it through the bridge just to demonstrate bridge. Here's your bridge. Management, we're going to make it 1000, like so. Okay, now it is sort of important to do this. You want to make sure that the spanning tree protocol on the router, bridge, and the switch itself is the same. Otherwise, this will make your life hell, because if your spanning tree protocols don't match, they're going to cause loops and all sorts of fuckety stuff that's going to make your life miserable and make you question your life, well, to this point. So anyway, now that I've designated that, let's change the priority on the Netonix to priority 4. All right, so now we've lowered the bridge priority value on the Netonix to 4,000 because that's the next usable value here. So it's 4,000 on the Netonix, which is either way, by default, it's still a higher number, making it lower priority than the actual bridge present on the MikroTik. By default, the MikroTik's 8,000, the Netonix is 32,000. That's perfectly fine, just so long as the Netonix itself, or whatever switch you've got connected, that the bridge value, the priority, is lower than that of the root device, which is your router. You want to make sure that the switch knows that the bridge on the router is the parent or the host bridge, so that it will designate, see here, role, is it'll designate an interface as the root interface back to that bridge. It also is very, very handy if you look at my other video, which is, I believe it's, I can't remember what it's called right now, but it has to do with a layer 2 failover, okay? And I'll demonstrate that because you can actually have 2 ports coming from this bridge group over to the router, which is really handy if you run a BMU like Presim. You can have one interface prioritized and the other one deprioritized, and then it'll say designated on the right here, and it'll say alternate for the port that's got the lower priority. So the reason why you do that is because if the BMU fails, like you've got all your customer traffic going from your router through the Presim module, just arbitrarily saying to your switch, right? If something happens with Presim, like somebody trips over a power cord or unplugs it, that's not in the equation anymore. And if you don't have that secondary, that alternative path between the router and the switch, then what will happen is the traffic won't flow anymore. So by having 2 ports going from your router to your switch, specifically for BMU applications, if the BMU fails, that alternate port will say, oh, well, I'm the lower priority bridge, and the higher priority bridge is that way, and the higher priority port just failed. Well, I guess it's my chance to jump in and take action, and all the traffic will immediately start going over the alternate path, which becomes the designated path until the proper designated path, the root path, is restored. Then that one will take the traffic, and the alternate will become an alternate again. So that's as clear as mud. I'm sorry. Just leave it in the comments below, and I can clarify further for you. And I've got no problems yip-yapping with you on Facebook about it to try to clarify things a little bit more. But anyway, I think that pretty much does it for this one. I'm not going to troubleshoot the SFP, so if you guys want me to troubleshoot the SFP that wasn't supposed to be part of the video, whatever. I'll check the logs. You check the logs and I'll show you how to do that. So that's the Netonix VLANs demonstration for you to help you understand the VLANs. I'm trying to figure out a way to actually just do a FLAC, a card type, how do VLANs work type video. I'm hoping that I can just teach you guys how VLANs work by doing a few different vendor switches, and then you should see the theme between these guys and how it works, especially with Ubiquiti and Netonix, because they're very similar, and that should clarify things. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you. Please like and subscribe. Tell your friends. If you want to help out with the channel, it does actually cost quite a bit of money to run the channel every month, so if you want to donate some money on Patreon, please, that'd be awesome, or whatever. There's also perks to being a Patreon, including the ability to actually purchase time through there, so you can just shoot a little bit more monthly, and then you get so many hours with me. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and yeah, like and subscribe, and hit me up on Facebook if you have any further questions, or just leave them in the comments below. Thanks, guys.